how it goes. But if you're not new here, then you know every week we have a new poll. And that poll is, if I can get it to push buttons, there we go. What's your biggest concern about pay-to-play sites for voiceover? And if you're watching on TikTok, let me fix the camera angle here. Put your concerns in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, wherever you is, put your concerns or questions in the chat. That's what we're here for, right? But so far we have 13 votes. Wow. It's a pretty even split on cost versus return on investment and unsure if they're worth it. Looks like, we're shifting votes here. 7% of you said too much competition. And then another 7% of you said not enough auditions. So right now, you guys are still adding your votes, but right now it looks like the majority of you said cost versus return on investment is your biggest concern. And they're not cheap. Some of them are pretty costly and some of them are not. But you have to look at pay-to-plays, whether it's, voices.com, Voice123, Fiverr, or Upwork. They are also businesses, and they are there to take a piece of whatever it is that you're making in some way, shape, or form, because they're trying to make a buck, right? They get a piece of the pie. It's an investment in your business. It's a cost of doing business, right? These websites. They are hosting your profile and they are hosting you and your services. So therefore, they're going to get a piece of it in some way, shape, or form. But for those of you on YouTube and Instagram, I actually have a presentation for you. I'm going to go through, for those of you that don't know what pay-to-play sites are, because I know I have a lot of viewers that don't know what I'm even talking about right now, but we're going to go through it. We're going to go through it. So what are pay-to-play sites? These are sites where you can, first and foremost, have a profile, so you're accessible to anyone that is seeking services on this site. And the ones we're going to focus on today, as far as pay-to-plays, not freelance marketplaces, but pay-to-plays, and these are going to be voiceover specific, like voices.com, Voice123, Bodalgo, and some of the others. And if you're watching, then if you have a favorite site that you do very well on, put it in the comments, put it in the chat. Let me know what is working for you, and maybe what you've tried and what didn't work for you. But you can expect to see on these pay-to-play sites, most of the time, even if you can have a profile, which is great, and I recommend that you have a profile, and I realize I'm all over the place and get used to it. That's the way I roll. But you can have a profile for free on most, if not all, of these sites. But in order to audition, you have to be a paying member on places like voices.com, Voice123. But there is high volume, but on the flip side, there's also high competition. The platform is essentially the middleman. It is an online agent, if you can look at it that way. These platforms are like online agents. All right. Why voice actors use them? Faster access to auditions. On some of these sites, you can even go and find jobs yourself and bid on them. Other times, on other platforms, you're just kind of sitting back and waiting for people to find you and send you an invitation to audition. It's going to be different for every site. But these sites are going to have built-in clients. Obviously, there's going to be clients that are creating profiles themselves, searching for the services that we provide, right? The workflows are structured, so there's not a whole lot of, versus having direct clients, when you have to really structure the timeline, you have to structure how you get paid, right? How you collect the payment, you have to come up with everything. It's all on you as the business owner. Whereas on these sites, everything is, well, not all of them, but again, we'll get into it. But some of these sites, the payment is collected for you and then released to you at a certain point during the process. Some of them will even give you a due date, right? There's structured workflows, as in this is what you do at this point and so on and so forth to the next step. There's a low barrier to entry, meaning anyone can join. As long as you're willing to pay the fees in some way, shape, or form, then you can expect to see business, right? Basically. Common concerns with pay-to-play sites are the cost versus return on investment, which seems to be your biggest concern. Another concern is that there's just too much competition on these sites. Rate pressure, meaning some of these sites have already determined, like they have a set pricing structure. So you adhere to their pricing structure, whereas on other sites, you determine your pricing structure. And therefore, there's going to be maybe clients that are accustomed to a lower price point than you, and they're probably going to bug you and ask you to, decrease your prices to meet previous services that they've purchased, something of that nature. Or maybe you might get blowback from another voice artist or audiobook narrator that says you're not charging enough and that you're setting the standard too low. There's too much about rates there. And burnout, because if you focus a lot of your time on these sites, auditioning and stressing about the next job, when is that going to come in? There's so much to do on these sites, and continually doing it, day in and day out can lead to burnout very, very quickly. The first pay-to-play site that most audiobook narrators start on is ACX. This is a site that is a Amazon sister company. It's essentially a site where, excuse me, audiobook narrators and authors come together to create audiobooks for Audible. It's very easy to use. It's not available in every country yet, but for the most part, it's available, I think, most everywhere. All you have to do is sign up and start posting samples and start auditioning. There really is no barrier to entry at all, unless it's not available in your country. The pay types on there are per finished hour and royalty share. There's also royalty share plus, which is a hybrid of the two. There is huge audiobook volume there. There still is, if you set your filters appropriately. If you followed me any amount of time, you always hear me, telling you guys about, minimal filters on ACX to find the most audiobooks. There's too many filter settings there that people get caught up on. That's a whole tangent. I'm stopping right now. But there is huge audiobook volume there, as opposed to other sites. Another site is voices.com. This is one that we hear and talk about all the time. There is high job volume there. It is mostly commercial and corporate work, but there is a subscription required, meaning you have to be a paying member in order to audition. Again, you can have a free profile there. You can on all of the sites, I believe. But you have to be a paying member to audition. Another site, Voice123. These are invite-based auditions. Again, global clientele, same with voices.com. And tiered access. You have to be a paying member to audition, just like voices.com. But there are different tiers, and those tiers determine how quickly you see the job. So obviously, if you're paying $5,000 a year on Voice123, you're going to see the job first. And then everyone else on lower tiers is going to see that job next. So, right. And again, if you have questions about anything, please post them in the appropriate chats. We'll go through the questions in a bit. Fiverr is a freelance marketplace. It is not a voiceover specific platform. Fiverr is available all over the world, and I have global clientele all over the world from Fiverr, and I've done really, really well on Fiverr. There are no audition fees. Fiverr is structured to take 20% from the seller of the order and 20% from the buyer. That's how they get their piece of the pie. It is a buyer-driven search. There used to be a time where you could solicit or introduce yourself to people on Fiverr through, what were they called? Not briefs. I forget what it was called, but there was a time when you can actually reach out to buyers yourself. But right now, it is set. They took that away. So now you just have to optimize your gig in a way that gets attention, gets impressions, gets the clicks, and gets orders. So having said that, gig optimization matters. That is a place where you really need to study other Fiverr sellers that are doing well and, emulate, mimic what they're doing. I already said it's a global marketplace. Upwork and other freelance marketplaces are proposal-based, although on Upwork specifically, you can be invited to audition as well. And this is, again, where your profile optimization is really going to matter. There is relationship potential, building a relationship with clients on Upwork. They do reward long-standing relationships on Upwork as far as taking less of a fee. For instance, they'll take maybe 10% of the fee instead of Fiverr's 20%. But you can build relationships on Fiverr as well, but they're always going to take that same 20% from both parties. There are platform fees if you want to become there's like a membership fee. I forget what it's called. Upwork. I even have it. I subscribe to Upwork, but with that membership, you get a few extra bonuses, and then you also get what do they call them? Connects every month. And you use those connects. It's sort of like in-game currency. And you use those connects to send proposals and bids on jobs. Whereas Fiverr, you can't solicit anybody at all. You can't send proposals at all. The big picture. Pros versus cons of these pay-to-play sites, all of them. The pros are there's fast access to jobs, to the job pool in any way, shape, or form. There's a lot of volume and there's some structure. The cons is that there's fees to every single platform. Everyone needs to get a piece of the pie in some way, shape, or form. It's the cost of doing business. There's a lot of competition, and then you can also become very dependent on these sites, which I don't recommend. I feel like I'm all over the place. Am I all over the place? The real risk is relying on one platform. You don't want to do that. I mean, it's just like that old saying, don't put all your eggs into one basket. You want to diversify. As a business owner, you want to diversify as much as possible, meaning try to get on multiple platforms, and not only just relying on platforms or even being available on platforms. I don't even want to say rely on platforms, but being available on platforms. You also want to make yourself available online by marketing yourself to get direct clients as well. And we've talked about that many times on my channel on how to do that. But you don't want to rely on just one platform as your sole income in this business, because you never know when, the CEO could get into hot water and then everybody cancels that platform, or the platform has some sort of a financial crisis and goes away. Your one income source goes with it. So you don't want to rely on just one platform. So again, smart alternatives to relying on one platform or just platforms in general. You want to have direct clients. You want to reach out as an audiobook narrator. You want to reach out directly to audiobook production companies. You want to be on all the freelance marketplaces and all the pay-to-plays. Again, you can have a free profile on most, if not all of them. Referrals and making social media content. Now, referrals, I understand referrals comes from having clients and doing well with clients and building relationships with clients. And then in turn, you get referrals from that client for other clients. Social media content is a big one. I'm always, harping on you guys about that. That is the fastest and easiest way to make to get yourself seen, let's just say. Social media content. So in addition to making yourself visible on all of these different pay-to-plays, freelance marketplaces, you also want to get onto social media and also reach out to clients directly. I hope I'm making sense. I feel like I'm all over the place, as per usual. So your best practice strategy is to get onto 1 or 2 platforms max. And after really thinking about that, I mean actively, you know, actively working on auditioning and actually, no, I'm going to take that back. Get on all the platforms, as I said earlier. I wouldn't say max. I would say 1 or 2 platforms max, meaning that could be like a major focus. Like you want to concentrate on auditioning on 1 or 2 max. So that way you're not spreading yourself too thin in terms of paying membership, I think is what I was trying to say, because it can get out of hand. I mean, some of these subscription plans are very costly. I think, what was Voice 123? I think it was $300 something a year or something like that on the tier that I was on. I wasn't on the top tier. I feel like I'm rambling. Build off platform assets, meaning again, creating social media content and, putting yourself in shoving yourself in everybody's face that way. Referrals and content again. Questions to ask yourself when you're on these sites. Is this paying for itself? Are you paying more to be on the site than you're actually making from it? Am I improving my skills while being on this platform? Is this sustainable? Meaning, are you working too hard to make the work that you're getting pay for itself, pay for its subscription fee, right? Is this something that you can see yourself doing for a long period of time at the rate that you're going at it? Or is this something that at the pace that you're currently going, are you going to burn yourself out in a month? Right? You also have to think about your mental health too. Final takeaway. Pay-to-plays and freelance marketplaces are a tool, not a, linear plan. They're not like a singular plan. That's not the only thing that you want to do. Pay-to-plays are a tool, or a marketing and business tool. You can't just sit back and rely on these as, forever sustainable income. It's an additional tool in your tool belt for an additional stream of income. I think that was it. Yeah, that was it for my presentation. I hope that was enjoyable. Did I forget anything? I probably did. But if you have questions, now is the time. Wow, thank you everybody for joining on Instagram and the TikTokies and YouTube. I appreciate you guys. I went through that kind of fast, I feel. I probably forgot some stuff. But if you have questions, please ask them. There's a lot of little details I think I'm overlooked. But we do have a lot of comments, so let's see if we can answer some of those questions or fill in the gaps with questions. Jules was here early. Good morning, Jules. Good morning from sunny Florida. Paul was also here. Good morning. George Griffin says on YouTube, looks like I'm the only person who answered. Not enough auditions. Fact is, I get a lot of no pay or zero budget offerings. I do audition for these though, because I was told it helps your Q rating. Yeah, a lot of these platforms are now integrating AI, right? They've had a way to rate you on all of these platforms before, but now with the integration of AI into these platforms, it's so much more seamless and quicker to judge, I guess, is what I want to say. Who you are as a voice actor, how much you're participating, how active are you, what is the customer feedback that you've received, how quickly do you answer. There's all of these things that are taken into account to determine how often you're shown to people. And that's just a general, broad stroke of I think what I'm trying to get at, because all of the platforms are a little bit different. But in essence, that's how it goes. And you will see on Voice123 and voices.com, and I did see a lot of those too, where they'll say, this is a nonprofit, or this is a school project, or so there's no pay at all. But I can pay you in referrals and, what was the, I can pay you in promotion, or I can shout you out or something like that. Well, that stuff doesn't pay my bills. Money does, right? And it's your prerogative if you want to audition for these things, because you never know what can come out of it. I mean, ultimately, whatever it is that they're doing and that you applied for, or auditioned for rather, that was zero budget, could be something that goes viral. I mean, you never know. It's your prerogative if you want to do that or not. But yeah, but on the same time, you don't want to audition for everything, because that will also affect your internal rating on some of these sites. Right? Alicia on YouTube says, good morning and Happy New Year from, yes, Happy New Year. You guys all got your business resolutions sorted out for the year? Sage says, good afternoon, Angela, and everyone here from sunny Gainesville, Florida. We got some Floridians in the house. Pam is here. Hi, Pam. Erica's here from Greece. Thank you for stopping in. What time is it in Greece? Thank you for interrupting your vacation to be here. I appreciate that. Joy is here. Hey, Joy, I heard you were sick. I hope you're feeling better, darling. Good afternoon from freezing rain, Michigan. My boyfriend was just in Michigan this past weekend, and it was snowy and cold and like 18 degrees. That's a whole lot of nope for me. Kat is here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning or good evening from Germany. Well, hello. We are global today. Erica says, I'm on Voice123 and Voices. Thankfully, I always make back my membership fees and then some, but I have to audition a lot. My ratio on Voices is 100-to-1, which is considered to be not bad. To be not bad. Yes, I know what you meant. Oh, that's good. Eric Grimes. Why does that always come out that way? It's the Rick Grimes. Hi, Angela and A-Team. When I was first starting out, I bought the lowest of 3 tiers on Voice123. I only got notice of auditions after multiple auditions were already submitted or within an hour of the, here we go, continued, deadline. I never booked a single gig. After a few months, they stopped sending me any auditions at all. Needless to say, I did not renew. Seems like you need to get the highest tier to get good gigs, and unfortunately, that is what I was getting at, is that they're going to favor the people that are making them the most money, that are paying the highest tier, right? I mean, unfortunately, it's just the way that these sites are structured. And another concern while I'm thinking about it is that the competition, and if a newer voice artist can see any traction on these sites. I used to say no because of there's a lot of, I don't want to say competition. I don't ever look at other voice artists as competition. They're options, right? There's all kinds of different voices in the world. So I never look at my fellow voice artists as competition. But there are a lot of people there that have a lot more experience, and they have a lot, what do I want to say? They have a higher quality studio sound, right? So in some aspects, they have more experience or a better sound than you as a brand new voice artist. And that is why I would say that you probably shouldn't join voices.com, Voice123 as a brand new voice artist, because you're going to be probably not hired as much as someone has more experience or better sound, right? But I have seen, and I've worked with a couple of mentees of mine where I told this to them and they joined anyway, which I kind of love. And they did really well right out the gate. So I kind of want to retract that statement, I think anybody can do well. It's kind of it's weird because there really isn't any guarantee that you will do well, but there's no guarantee that you won't either if you're brand new starting on these sites. So for you as an individual, you have to make the decision, is this something that I'm okay with maybe signing up for, maybe a year just to see how it goes and then decide at that point if your return on investment was worth it? Then, that's going to be up to you. Professor Tracy says, good morning. Tanya. Hi, Tanya. Tanya, one of the most beautiful voices on the internet. Red Fez Lad says, no tangents. That's what we were here for. Don't encourage the tangents. Don't encourage the tangents. Katya's here. Hey, Katya. Happy New Year. Going easy on the donuts, but you are so yummy ones. Thank you. Yeah, I know. I spent the last 2 weeks over the holidays just kind of eating what I wanted. That was probably not a bad choice, or that probably was a bad choice. Because kickboxing is not going to be super easy tonight. It's going to be hard to get back into it because my kickboxing studio has been closed for the last 2 weeks. So I have a feeling it's going to be difficult. Eric is here talking to Eric Grimes. From what I hear, you need to be in the higher tiers on Voice 123 to even have a shot. And be selective about what you audition for because the algorithm is super punishing. Yes, on I think that's what I was trying to say earlier. Hold on. Is that on Voice 123 specifically, they will want you to audition for only what you are suited for. And if you just like shotgun auditions for everything, then I think they'll probably mute you a little bit more because they don't want you just to harass the clients or to waste their time if you're not perfectly suited for it, if that makes sense. Rich says, one spoke in the marketing wheel. Absolutely. Absolutely. One spoke. Pay to play should not be your only source of income. Thank you, Erica. I appreciate you. Kristen Barkhurst is here. Good morning from cloudy Los Angeles. Happy New Year to everyone. Wishing you all lots of VO growth and success in 2026. I second that. Rich says, Angela, who do you believe is the best pay to play to start with at the end of or at the start of doing VO? I think if you're going for audiobook narration, or if you want to just be an audiobook narrator, I would say ACX is probably a good place to start. But ultimately branch out and directly market yourself to authors. You can get into author Facebook groups and offer, advice on audiobook productions. Become like the group expert, right? You're available there. Market yourself on social media as an audiobook narrator. Get onto TikTok and do live streams of yourself narrating. I know several people that I've mentored that have done just that and now are on several publishing rosters from just going live on TikTok and marketing themselves that way. It works. For voiceover, and when you say best pay to play, it's kind of a loaded question because it's going to depend on what you want to do or how you want to go about it. If you don't want to get onto Fiverr and Upwork, if you want to skip over the freelance marketplaces altogether, I would say Voice 123, I'm a little more partial to, but there are a lot of, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but there are a lot of pay-to-plays out there. We only highlighted a couple of them. There are hundreds of them. And if you're looking for a pay-to-play that you're thinking of signing up for, literally open up Google and search voiceover jobs or voiceover online marketplaces or something of that nature. Because there's Voice Giant, there's Voice Jungle, there's Voice Bunny, there's VO Planet, there's Voquent, there's Bidalgo, as I mentioned before. There's tons of them. And just take a look at how they're structured, what their pricing plans are. And again, I think most, if not all, will allow you to have a free profile there but you can't audition unless you're a paying member on most. But there are a lot of them. And every once in a while, I'll get like a random job from one of the sites that I signed up on like years ago, and my demos are way outdated, but I still get work from them. It's so odd, you know. But that's what I would say. I would say go with one that's well known, maybe, because obviously more people are going to know about it and you're going to get more opportunities on it. But for me personally, I started on Fiverr, and Fiverr has done very well for me over the years, believe it or not. And I have had a lot of clients that I've worked with. I've been on Fiverr now. Let me just back up and say I've been on Fiverr now for almost 8 years. And I still have clients that still work with me 5, 6, 7 years later that come back for, maybe revision, like not like I did something wrong, but like they're updating, and they come back to me to have the same voice. So I build relationships on Fiverr that way too, and Upwork for that matter. So I guess it's really going to depend on what your schedule allows and how much you have to babysit or be present or be active on the site, I guess is the best way to answer that question. It's 7:30 there. Wow. So you're like 9 hours ahead of me. Joy says, I have a very bad head and chest cold. My voice only squeaks right now. Only thing I can do is make plans to get my website up and update my social media websites. And that's great. When you can't, or when you're not, when you don't have any voiceover work, or if you can't because you're sick, just like Joy is doing, still fill your time with other things, because as we know, voiceover is a business. You have to treat it as a business. So is audiobook production. And so if you have any downtime at all, fill it with improving your website, fleshing it out, redoing your demos with, work that you've already done. Start creating social media campaigns. Start planning those things out. There's things that you can do in your downtime. Erica says, pretty much the same thing that I did, waiting a year before joining Voice 123 and Voices. Yeah, I used to say the same thing, but I have seen people like right out the gate, like on day 2, get work on these sites. So, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Thank you for the donuts, Rebecca. You totally slept in. I don't blame you. Every once in a while, you got to do that. You got to do that. Just looking to see, I'm sure I overlooked some stuff. Let's go over to Instagram, see if anybody has questions on Instagram. No questions on Instagram. I'm seeing a lot of, thank you for all the likes and things on TikTok, you guys. Let's see if there's any questions on TikTok. Scrolling. If you have questions, please ask. Or comments even. If you have something to share, share it. I thought I did see some questions on TikTok. Boop-a-doo. Smokey on TikTok said, I just got a Rode NT1 microphone. Good. A Steinberg UR22C interface, headphones, and Adobe Audition. Awesome. You'll love Adobe Audition. I recommend that to everyone. I love that DAW. I thought I saw some more questions. Aurelius says, yep, I need all the info I can get. Oh, good. What are some good resources for coaching or training? I'm learning more towards audiobook narration. I am a coach. We have Launchpad, formerly Platinum. We have a group that meets every Thursday night. We go over everything voiceover, business, and audiobook related every Thursday. You can also meet with me. I have Zoom sessions. If you go to my website, voiceoverangela.com, sorry, brain fart. voiceoverangela.com, you can either book a 30-minute session with me and just pick my brain, or I even have mentorship programs where there's like a bundle of 30-minute sessions that we can meet at whatever interval you want. We can meet, once a month or once every 3 months. There's really no time constraint on that. You can meet with me whenever you want. Like, keep me in your back pocket for when you need me, kind of a thing. Or you can join Launchpad, where we meet every Thursday night and talk about some aspect of this. But I've been coaching for years now, since almost 6 years. And I've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of voice actors, audiobook narrators at this point. So go to my website, I guess is the easiest thing to say, voiceoverangela.com. And it's really going to depend on which one you choose, is going to depend on how you prefer to work. I realize my phone is like bobbing. So if you prefer to work with someone one-on-one, we can meet via Zoom and I can show you tutorials, or I can answer your questions for you. Or if you prefer to meet as a group in a group setting and maybe lurk and just listen, Launchpad would be a better place for you. And I have all of that stuff on my website. Thank you, Rin, for all the likes. I appreciate you. You're a doll. Really? Yes. You guys are so funny. Awesome. Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you. Likewise, I'll be looking forward to it. Awesome. Let's see. Rustic Hillbilly, good morning and happiest of New Year's to you. Rebecca, Launchpad is so worth it. Not just the classes, but the community as well. Yeah, a lot of the chat is in Launchpad. I think in terms of group size, it's not like there's like 5 of us. There was in the very beginning when I first started Platinum, because Launchpad, I joined forces with Anthony Pica and we became Launchpad. But 6 years ago, it was Platinum, and we started out with like 3 of us that would meet up every Thursday. Now there's 33, 36-ish people that come to every group session. So there's a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different experiences. There's a lot more to offer the group than before. And it's a great place to not only you also have access to a private Discord too, with, I think there's over like 300 people on there. But you can ask questions, you get support from people who understand what you're going through. Can't tell you how many times I would go to tell my significant other, hey, this happened to me today. And he would go, that's great, I'm so proud of you. But not really understanding the depth of how amazing it truly was. Or if I was having an issue, he couldn't help me through it because he didn't really understand, again, the depth of what it was that I was talking about. So having a community of peers that understands what you're going through, good and bad, is everything. Because you even have people in Launchpad that will hop on a Zoom call with you and, help you walk through something. If not me, someone else. Or if you need help with your DAW, you'll have community members that might, do live streams on Discord and walk people through different aspects of a DAW. I mean, what you get for joining Launchpad for it's $37 a month, I think. So, I mean, what you get with it is, I think it's way underpriced, honestly. But as I always say, it's not about the money. The money is because it's now, a VO's journey, and there's lights to keep on and, software to keep running and all of those things. But you get so much more. The return on your investment, if we're talking about that today, is definitely worth it. I'll get off my soapbox. But to Rebecca's point, Rebecca is a valued asset for Launchpad. Tanya, Good morning, everyone. Rarely get to log on to these lives because I'm usually working my day job. It's okay to have a day job, but I know I understand. I understand. I'd rather be at home in the studio is probably what you're thinking. Rebecca says, I intended to lurk in my first class, ended up participating after 30 minutes? You know, it's the vibe of the group that really gets people out of their shell, right? Even if people lurk for a class or two or a group session or two, I don't even like to think of them as classes, they're just group sessions. I think once you can sit back and see the supportive nature of everyone in the group, you'll be compelled to participate. And we do participate, right? You're encouraged to, but it's not mandatory. So if you want to lurk and just listen and take notes, you can do that. Or you can participate, and we do script reads for each other. We do full cast reads. We try a wheel of emotions is always fun. You know, we spin the wheel of emotions, and whatever emotion the wheel lands on is what you have to try to, emulate or try to emote with whatever text that you're given. So it really makes you think about how an emotion sounds, verbally. I almost said orally, but then, we'd have to get our no Caesar signs out, even though I don't see Caesar in the chat. Where is Caesar? All right, I'm just looking really quick to see if there's any questions. I think there was a couple on Instagram. Jazz says, thank you for your very informative chats. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Jazz says, how often do you participate at Launchpad? Whenever you want to. You're not required to. It's a group session. It's about 2 hours. There's usually about 30-ish people, somewhere between 30 and 40 people usually join every week. And again, you're not required to participate, but you're encouraged to because it'll only help you, right? So you can just sit back and just listen, or you can participate if you want to. Voice of Sean says, yes, I tend to be super shy and timid and quiet. I totally get it. As a practicing introvert, card-carrying introvert, which you wouldn't believe because my face is all over every monitor in my studio right now. It's making me super uncomfortable. But I get it. But obviously, in a group that is supporting and teaching voiceover, you should participate. But you don't have to if you don't want to. But if the group is right, I tend to get comfortable and want to participate. And I hear that from everybody in our group, is that our group, the vibe in our group is unlike anything else that even I have been a part of. Very open and welcoming. And we joke, and sometimes we go left. Sometimes we go left a lot, but we always come back to what we're working on and have a lot of fun. And a lot of the times, somebody brings an adult beverage. So it's not super sterile or vanilla or just work. We play too. We have a good time doing it. Almost everything that we do on Launchpad is gamified. So it's a lot of fun. Caesar is sick. Oh no. He's working himself to death. That guy. And he was on my live last week. Caesar is awesome. Red Fez says, I've gotten a lot of good feedback from the free projects I've done on the Record This for Free Reddit, but am terrified of stepping onto the sites. Can't decide between audiobooks or charter voice acting. Start with audiobooks. I think, if you can't decide which. And I say that because if you can, in my head, if you can master audiobooks, because audiobooks are definitely a marathon, they're not a sprint at all. If you can master audiobooks, the formatting, the long periods of narration and the editing and all that stuff, everything else is cake. Right? The character work, all of that stuff. If you can master audiobooks, everything else is cake, basically. Joy says, where can I go to learn how to be a better narrator? Joy, you're in Launchpad. You're in a VO's Journey Academy core. You get all the classes. You're already in the right place. You talking about, girl? Tanya says, yes, even if you are a CRA. Tanya says to Rebecca, I was going to lurk too. Oh God, I'm so glad you guys didn't. I'm so glad you guys participated. You guys are awesome. Tanya says, yes, group is so supportive no matter where you are in your journey. Yes, and that's another thing. I think a lot of people don't want to join places like Launchpad because they think that if they're brand new, that they're not going to fit in. We have people in Launchpad that have started like yesterday, and then you don't have to have like a functioning studio to join. People join like in their car, on their way home from work. You don't have to be in studio to participate. You could be anywhere that you are and any experience level. We've got people from all walks of life and all levels of experience, people that have been doing it for 6 or 7+ years and people that had just started yesterday. So there's no like minimum requirement. If you want to learn more about voiceover or audiobook production, or if you want to get better and get perspective from your peers on all different varying experience levels, then Launchpad is the place for you, right? We have a lot of fun. They bring adult beverages. I do too sometimes, but we have a lot of fun and we get the work done, Sage says, the best thing I did last year was join Angela's Platinum group, now Launchpad. Community in the Discord is worth the money alone. So grateful to be part of it. Erica says, agree, Launchpad is great. Tanya says, Launchpad is so worth it that I attended every week, even though it's between 1 and 3 a.m. in my time zone. Yes, I think that is the only thing. Is that because we have members in Launchpad from all over the world that we can't have. I mean, ideally, we'd want to have like 2 different sessions. So you don't have to be there at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. But that's the one thing, I think. But if you can attend, great. But we have people from all over the world that are in Launchpad. So the accents and the accent work is very helpful too. Katya says, I can't wait to hop back into Launchpad. My current schedule is challenging for Thursday evenings, but we'll eventually make it work. I need it. And that's another thing. And I'm sorry this whole live session turned into just like a giant Launchpad commercial, but we're talking about it, so let's talk about it. Is that all of the Launchpad sessions are recorded. So if you're sick or if you just can't attend one, they're recorded. So once you're a member, you can go back into the archives and watch all of them if you wanted to on any topic that we talked about. And we review your business websites to make sure that everything's functioning right. We give feedback like on the color schemes, the fonts, and all of the stuff. We go through Fiverr gigs. Oh my God, we do so much on every different aspect and level in Launchpad. Tanya says, a lot of VOs are afraid of audiobook narration. It's well worth mastering it early on, in my honest opinions. Me too. Jazz says on Instagram, if I may, I meant to ask how often you yourself... Oh, every single one. I am the host. Every single one. I am there for every single one. I think I've only missed one because I hurt myself in the gym. And I had Eric take over that, but the group was still there. But every single one, I'm there. Jazz says, how do I join Launchpad? You can either go to my website at voiceoverangela.com, go to the plans and pricing page, and then it says Launchpad formerly Platinum. And there's a link that'll take you to Launchpad. Or you can go directly to, excuse me, but that's not the name of the website. Or you can go directly to avosjourney.com and sign up on Launchpad. I think that homepage takes you directly to the tiers. I think on Instagram it's linked in my bio. One of the two is in my bio. I'm pretty sure. Rebecca says to Tanya, and we are so happy you were there. Yeah. Lele says Launchpad same as Core. On aviosjourney.com, the Academy, there's 3 different tiers of membership. The first is Launchpad. The second is Core. And with Core, you get Launchpad, and then you get all of the other coach classes. There's 5 other coaches. So you get all of the coaches' classes, the script workouts, and all of those things with Core and Launchpad. And then the top tier is Premium, which is Core and Launchpad. Plus, you get a 30-minute session with the coach of your choice every month. So those are the 3 tiers for the Academy. So you just have to choose one of those. But Launchpad is included with Core. Tanya says a Launchpad is included in Core, but Core is next level up. Yep. Lele says, I definitely want to lurk in those classes, but then thought, what the heck? I have embarrassed myself before, and I would do it again. So I jumped in and came out learning with the group so supportive. And then Dwight's here. Dwight's another Platinum or Launchpad member. Good day, Angela, my fellow Angelistas. Rich says, Launchpad commercials are great. Erica says to Tanya, agree, audiobook narration is so rewarding from a creative standpoint and will really help with developing your cold reading and editing. Rebecca says, we do website review too. Double check your samples before you volunteer though. Yep, we also review auditions and demos too from time to time. We do everything in Launchpad. So anything that you had questions about, we do as a group at some point in Launchpad. Joy says, I guess I should have asked what class is best to start with the narration, seeing how there's so many. Man, I would just start with whatever's available because I think you're in Core now, right, Joy? So if you're in Core, just take the next class that's available. I'm doing the script workout for tomorrow, so come to that. But just take the next class that's available to you and then take them as they come. You know, just start with what's next and keep up with it and then go back into the archives and watch all the other classes. You made raised maple glazed donuts, Dwight? Wow. Amazing. All right, let's see. Z Ferguson on Instagram says, is there a price difference in the 3 tiers? Yes. Oh gosh. What are the prices? Launchpad is $37. Core is, I want to say, don't quote me on this, but it's like $78, $79. And then Premium is $100 and something. I haven't looked at it. I don't know if he's changed them at all. But for Core, and I've said this a million times, with the Core level, you get Launchpad and you get all the different classes, marketing classes, you get acting classes, you get branding classes with all the different coaches. I'm only one of the coaches in Core. You get all of that and they're all recorded so you can go back and watch them for $78 a month. Plus you get access to the Discord, you know, all of the things that are included with it. If you think about, if you reached out to one voiceover coach and you wanted to work with one voiceover coach, you would expect to pay $200, $300 a month for maybe 1 or 2 sessions a month. Whereas with Core, which is less than $100 a month, you get 6 coaches. You get Launchpad, you get weekly meetings on Thursdays. And there's like 7, 8, like almost a dozen classes in a month for $78. I mean, I think Anthony's nuts for charging that much, but that's what it is. So with all of the benefits that you get, you're still saving money and you get multiple coaches. It's kind of a no-brainer if you're looking to invest in coaching. Rich says Premium, I believe, is $149. Well, you know, we can answer that question right now, y'all. Here, let's go to aviosjourney.com. And then I'll show you guys. Share this tab. Okay. There you go. Okay, so here's Anthony's website. This is the academy that I was talking about. I don't know if you guys can see it everywhere. You can on TikTok, but I apologize. He's offering 50% off your first month. There you go. Look, there's me, Launchpad. There we go. There we go. Okay, so Launchpad's $37, and that's weekly meetings with me, access to all the recordings you miss, free access to Academy videos, access to our incredible Discord, monthly challenges, practice scripts, and more for $37 a month. Core is $78, so you get everything with me, Launchpad, 12 different monthly classes from commercial, tech, video game, character, corporate, acting, marketing, and more. Weekly script workouts, and again, I'm doing the script workout tomorrow. Access to full 6 years of archive videos. That's another thing that sets us apart, is that everything is recorded and archived. So as soon as you join, if you join today, you can go back and watch 6 years of classes. Access to all pre-recorded courses, yeah. Premium is $149, and you get everything from Core and Launchpad. You get a one-on-one session each month with any of our coaches. You get first dibs on outside auditions or for projects on Academy Voices. That's another thing that I forgot to mention. With Core and Launchpad, you get free membership to Academy Voices, which is our audiobook production company. That's another perk that you get for just joining our academy. You get free access to all monthly webinars and priority audio and acting checks. So again, if you wanted to work with a singular coach one-on-one, you're expecting to pay, and I did this too, $200 to $300 even plus per month for 1 or 2 sessions a month, maybe, usually just one. Whereas if you join Core for $78, you get everything that I had mentioned. So I'm going to jump off my Avio's Journey Academy commercial soapbox. And Anthony is running a reduced fee for 1 month on Core right now. Yeah, your first month is 50% off. So give it a try. See how it goes. Just make sure I didn't miss any questions on TikTok. Thank you for all the likes, you guys. I really appreciate it. I really do. I'm trying to get some traction on TikTok, so hit that heart thing on there. Dragonfly says, could I get the website that you were mentioning again? It's aviosjourney.com. Excuse me. I'm still trying to figure out how to put stuff on the screen on TikTok, but aviosjourney.com. Jazz says a couple of family members. Jazz says, because of AI, a couple of family members advise that I shouldn't count on voiceover. AI, there's going to be a place for AI in everything going forward. There just is. So as a voice actor, business owner, we have to learn to adapt with it. And AI for voiceover is going to be exactly like AI was for photographers, years ago, when they were concerned that AI with Mid-Journey and all of these things coming out, just creating images, that they were afraid that they weren't going to be hired as much. But what it has become is 2 separate categories. You have real, home-cooked meal, or you have AI fast food. Cheap, dirty, easy. Right? Or you have real human home-cooked meal. So there's 2 different categories. There's human and there's AI. So the same with voiceover. So you have to look at it that way. And most brands that I know anyway, that I've worked with and that I see every day, don't want to convey to their audience or to their potential clients that they're using cheap, fast, dirty AI, because that doesn't really send a invested message, if that makes sense. So long story short, most brands are still looking for a human voice. Not only that, but authors are preferring, if they have fiction or something that's like a biography or something like that, they're more often than not going to go with a human narrator because, I mean, there's always going to be, sorry, hold on. TikTok's making me do the puzzle thing. It's been over an hour. There's always going to be a place for AI narration in just like, I hate to say bottom of the barrel, but like mainly informational kind of a pieces, things like that. But real human actors is still, there's still a big need and a market for them. So I wouldn't immediately dismiss yourself as a voice actor and say, AI is going to take over anyway, because that's not the case. I get hired all the time to replace AI voices that were used as scratch just to get timing right in videos and things like that. Or that their client didn't like the AI voice they initially gave their client, the third party person, the middleman who's making the video used an AI voice. The client didn't like it. So they had to go back and hire a voice actor and replace the AI voice. That happens all the time. All the time. All right. Let's see. Is there any... Oh, whoa. What just happened? Jules says, is there a coach that's good with helping out accents? My British accent is abysmal, and I need to do it for one of the series I'm working on. Erica, are you still here? What was the site that accents.com or something like that? Accenthelp.com, I think is what it was. In terms of coaches with core, I'm not sure who's the best at accents. I'm really not sure. I think that would be a good question to post in Discord. So one of the coaches can probably answer that question for you in our VO's Journey Discord. I'm not sure, but there is a website that has courses for accents. I think it's accenthelp.com. If Erica's still here, she can confirm. She was the one that told us about that. Yeah, we're all happy that Dwight is better in the booth. Dwight says, how would you narrate Streets? Exactly how it says. But of course, if ever in doubt, ask the rights holder. In this case, I would say East, 5th, Northwest. Just like Rebecca said. But usually, I guess it depends on what it is. But yeah, that's how I would approach that too. East, 5th, Northwest. All right. Let's see. Is there any other questions? I'm just scanning through Instagrams. Thank you for everyone who has joined my live chat today. Is there any other final questions before we part ways for today? Let's see. Any other questions on TikTok? I must have spelled it wrong. Oh, a VO's journey, like a voiceover's journey. So AVOS journey. Here. Oh, you're on TikTok. You can't see. avosjourney.com is what it is. Like this is this voice actor's journey is how he's got it on there. A voiceover actor's journey. So AVOS journey. Sorry about that. I always forget about that. All right. I don't see anything else popping up for questions or anything. So. Oh, Raw Food Grandma on Instagram says, I'm on your Instagram now. Thanks for giving me the spelling. Okay, good. I think it's linked. I know the link to my website is definitely linked on Instagram. Good. Got it. Good. I'm sorry about that. I didn't even think about the spelling of Anthony's site, so sorry about that. Dwight says, AI correction or redubbing sounds like a Fiverr gig. What should we call it? I would be careful with that. You could put something of that in perhaps the description. Replace that AI voice that your client didn't like, or just say the real human voices, stuff like that. I don't know. I wouldn't call it like the title of your Fiverr gig. Fiverr might not like that. They might not approve that one. Hey, Edwin. So it looks like your team replay. But thanks for coming. Let's see. Edwin says, hey, Angela, what would be the best first VO conference we should check out? Oh, I would say whatever is coming to close to your town next. They're all good in some way, shape, or form. And then which one you go to is going to depend largely on what you want to do as a voice artist or, audiobook narrator. And even if you're wanting to become an audiobook narrator, I suggest even going to book signings, to book cons, to anime cons, to any kind of con, really, as a voiceover artist that comes to town. But as far as conferences go, there's going to be all different ways to attend. There's audiobooks at sea, where you get on a cruise ship and you learn about audiobooks on a cruise ship. There are conferences that you can attend in person. There's also conferences that you can attend virtually. So Joy says VO Atlanta. If you honestly, and I mean, it really is this easy, just Google VO conferences upcoming for 2026. I'm sure the AI will spit out whatever's, available to you. And then again, if you join groups and if you're in, like Facebook group, like voiceover Facebook groups, if you come to Launchpad, obviously we have a lot of voice actors in there that are going to talk about upcoming conferences. You can learn about them that way too. But I wouldn't say that one is better than another. It's really going to depend on what you're looking into. But if you can, attend them all, right? Or if there's a speaker that's attending, that is that specializes in something that you want to do, definitely attend that one. I think that's it. But yeah, Dwight says audiobooks at sea. I wish I could go. That's in April, right? Isn't it April? April of this year? You're on my website now? Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, let's just make sure there aren't any other questions. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to call it good for today. If you guys have any upcoming or any questions, or if you hang on, let me rewind and restart. If there's anything, and I did put a poll on YouTube, so you guys have been great with that, helping me out with what you guys want to know more about. I want to get back into making like tutorial videos, not just live streams, but also tutorial videos on my YouTube. And there's like over 700 videos that I've done on YouTube already, which is crazy to me. So if you have something that you want me to make a video about, or something that you want me to get or like deep dive into, then please comment wherever you are. Send me a DM, whatever it is, let me know. I can't make the content if I don't know that you guys want it. So let me know what you guys want to learn more about, and I'll make some content about it. Or we'll get together in a live stream and talk about it together. Or just come join Launchpad and we can talk about different stuff every Thursday night. So, oh yeah, the One Voice conference. I've attended virtually too. Angel says, yeah, One Voice was good. Dwight says audiobooks at sea is April 12th through the 18th. Okay. Cool. Maybe I can make it. I don't know. I'm sure all the tickets are sold out at this point. Sad face. All right, you guys, I'm calling it good for today. So I will see you all next week on next week's live stream, or maybe even with some content in between. Just let me know what you want to see. So I'm rambling, so I'm going to go. Bye, guys.